what I found is that a lot of them were very focused on business in general. And what I needed was strategies and techniques and, just a focus on real estate investing.
Hey investors, Bradley here from Watson Estates, and you're listening to the largest, fastest growing podcast for Toronto real estate on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Today on our show, a friend of mine, Quentin D'Souza. He is actually the first guest we've had, and this is the second time he's been on our show. Maybe you caught it late last year when we did our last episode, but by the end of this one, I was kind of smirking awkwardly because this was a damn good episode full of amazing information. If you're looking to grow and scale your real estate portfolio, you don't want to miss this episode. Quentin gets into some of the details from his latest book called The Action Taker's Real Estate Investing Planner. And he outlines for us some of the reasons some investors fail. And what he does is he takes a lot of amazing principles and relates them to real estate specifically. What an amazing episode. I mean, he has mentored thousands of people over the years. Out in Durham, has a crazy large portfolio. I mean, we can monitor the market as much as we want and analyze what's going on in the local news, the local market. But if we don't talk to people like Quentin, I mean, we just need this to inspire us. And I was absolutely inspired today on our show. Please, if you could, support what Quentin is doing, support him, whether that's through Instagram. And if you could on this video, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. And I know you're going to enjoy this episode. Enjoy the show. Quentin, how you doing today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I am doing fantastic, man. I'm so glad to have you back on the show. You are, I think, the first guest we've had on twice now. So that makes you special in our hearts. And I'm so thrilled you could join us. So since our last episode, I think it was late last year, can you maybe tell us some of the things that have been going on as a bit of an update for you?
Yeah, sure. So I recently, from fall, I closed on a 9-unit building in the Durham area, and then a 23-unit building in Northumberland. So I'm growing the portfolio, and actually I just got a triplex under contract in Whitby, which is good, off market, and I'm working on a 16-unit building. So it's I'm always growing. I'm always my strategy is all of those. One was a pocket listing, but all of the other ones were just private sales and just people I know, that sort of thing. At this point in my investing, I've got a lot of deals that kind of come to me because I've been doing this since 2004, and I have a good reputation, so that helps a lot, right?
Absolutely. And I like to see that you've got that variety, right? Like that you're still playing in the triplex, and mind you got these large ones. And I know I've talked to you before. You're like, oh yeah, I'm talking to some guys that got a 100-unit building, and it's like, oh, that's Quentin doing this thing.
Well,
That's great, man. And I'll tell you, you definitely have some street cred. So for anyone who doesn't know, you kind of fill up my library a little bit. I got some of your books. This is the Ultimate Wealth Strategy one for any of our audience members. And then we're going to talk a bit about this one today, Action Taker's Real Estate Investing Planner. And I want to get into that. So you got a ton of experience. You got, even the people, Jeff Woods, for example, I've talked with Jeff, who's a co-author. Like, these are some pretty impressive guys. Anyone that's talking about Durham, which is where you're kind of out of, is familiar with your name. So I think it's really cool that you're able to share that information and kind of pass it down. And it gives you kind of a legacy as well. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about why do you write so many books, first of all, and why did you write this latest one, the Action Planner?
You know what? Because I'm a teacher, right? So I have a master's in ed. I was a public school teacher for about 20 years. I left in when did I leave? Like 2014, I think. I left teaching, and I've been a full-time investor. But I still like to teach, and I feel that books are a good way for me to be able to share my knowledge. And I think it's a bit of a legacy piece too, right? If you gain financial freedom and you have, like, there's only so much money you need, and I think that one of the other pieces for me is to leave the world a little bit better and help to bring other people up too. And so the books are a way to share, like, the strategies that I used, the techniques that I used, and help other people to do the same. And it's also time efficient, right? everybody who wants my time, I cannot give it to them. There's just absolutely no way I can do that. But through a book, I can communicate that with them. And if they are able to, take the time, go through it and apply everything that I'm sharing in those books, then they can accomplish the same things. I'm not smarter than anybody else. I'm relentless in the pursuit of my goals. And one of the reasons why I put this book together, the Action Takers Real Estate Investing Planner, is because half of it is how to pursue the goals and strategies and techniques to help you to do that. And the other half is planning them out, which is really important, right? Like most people will plan a vacation more than they will like plan their life, right?
That's true. You're right.
Right? Like, I got to go
Even
away
when
for
you
a
can't
week.
leave your house, they're still doing it.
Right, and they go away for a week and they plan like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then we're going to do this and that, but then they won't, like they want to achieve, whatever they consider financial freedom or a certain dollar amount or net worth amount, but they'll never plan out how to do that, right? It's all just in their head, right? So I think that whether you put it on a computer or you put it in the like this planner or in like a moleskin book, whatever it is, you want to have your goals somewhere outside of your head so that you can see them every day and then work towards them, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, our audience we're filled with some pretty savvy folks, and I would imagine a good chunk of them probably are planning. But I think today I'd love to get into some of the secret sauce. You can tell us a little bit about what does your planning system look like. But before we get in there, I'm curious how the strategies you teach in here. How long have you been doing that? Like, have you done that from day one, or have you kind of developed it over time?
That's a great question. So, like, what had happened is I've been taking different coaching programs for a long time. So, business coaching, strategic coach with Ben Sullivan, like different programs. And what I found is that a lot of them were very focused on business in general. And what I needed was strategies and techniques, and just a focus on real estate investing. And so what I did was I took those templates and strategies and approaches, and I changed them so that it works for me and what I wanted to do. And so I've been using them, I would say, since about 2010 is when I started to, and then I've been developing it over time. And then I had a coaching program from 2000 and I want to say 15 to last year. And I don't do coaching anymore, but all my coaching clients, and they were paying, $12,000 for 6 months for 1 hour a week with me. They would all use the program. So this is actually the templates that they would use as part of that program. So it enables people to continue to use the techniques and tools that I had laid out for them. And now they can do it on their own. One thing that I would encourage them to do is actually find a partner. So somebody else who is very like similarly goal oriented, going in the same direction, and both of you pick up the planning tool, and then have each other as an accounting partner, so that every week you focus on like we talk about long-term goals, quarterly goals, and weekly goals. So those weekly goals, you have an accountability partner who will help to keep you accountable for those weekly goals, right? So every week, maybe at like 8 o'clock in the morning, you kind of just say, these are the 3 things that I'm working on this week to help me towards my real estate goals. And it's not about like, coaching each other and helping each other. Really, it's just like, did you do it or did you not do it? That's it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
something
want
as
to get into
simple as
some of
that.
those specifics too with the
Sure.
weekly plan. So we're going to go down that route, but you
Okay.
mentioned, and I agree, it's very hard when people ask me what's something, if I'm just getting started, what's one of the most important things? It's really hard not to say coaching, and I've spent thousands in coaching, and for someone to go through a program that you've put together, if you even have time to do that, it's going to cost thousands. And this is an opportunity for people to get it for a fraction. So all the things you're saying are bang on, but I'm curious, what are a couple, because it's definitely sprinkled through this book, where you discuss this is very real estate centered, not so it assumes a lot of general principles, but maybe could you share with us an example of how real estate, you need to look at real estate individually rather than just kind of applying outside concepts to the industry?
Right. So first, like if you're interested in looking at some of those tools and techniques, like if you go onto the Action Taker realestatePlanner.com website, you can download the first chapter. And in the first chapter, it goes through some of those pieces. So one example would be every week, you need to focus on three things in your real estate business. It's finding properties, it's funding properties, and it's financing properties, right? Every week without fail, I do this, I still do this every week. It's right beside me. My quarterly plan is up on my desk right beside me as well. But I am working on those three things every week. And it's part of connecting, my weekly plan to my quarterly plan to my long-term goals, right? And so just that one thing, if you're working on, those three pieces each week, by doing that one thing, you are going to get closer to your goals. I can pretty much guarantee it because of the consistency of application, right? The problem is people give up too quickly. And if it doesn't happen in like 5 minutes, then it's never going to happen. So the key here is the consistency and being able to apply it every week. And that's how this plan is different. It really focuses on those pieces, right? Not only on the accountability pieces in there too, but also like, celebrating some of your wins every week, right? You got to celebrate those wins. Like I just finished doing a refinance of 3 properties, and by refinancing those 3 properties, I'm freeing up about $500,000 in funds, right? And so for me, like the $500,000 in funds is great because it's going to help me to be able to purchase more buildings. But the thing that like really I like is now I talk to a friend of mine who's like, he's just a great guy. He's buying different buildings and stuff like that. And like, we'll go out for lunch and, talk and just like, I got a new story to tell him, right? Like about the refinance and stuff. And it's celebrating that. And it sounds kind of simple, and it doesn't have to be like going on a gigantic trip to Tahiti. It can just be having lunch with a friend. And I think you got to celebrate every win. And it doesn't have to be spectacular. And it could just be going out for dinner. Like, and, say like this dinner is dedicated to, the win for the 500K refinance, whatever it is, right? And I mean, I think that having the structure helps you to achieve your goals, and that's why it's there. And I've been using it for that for a long time. And I think the book helps to make sure that all the structures and systems are still out there so that more people can continue to use it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into some of the details. So people,
Sure.
I encourage you we'll put the link down below, go in and download chapter 1. And chapter 1 talks a lot about why some investors fail. And when it comes to setbacks and roadblocks, I'm curious, what are some common things you've seen in your path of reasons why people would fail or get set back seriously?
There's a lot, and it has a lot to do with consistency, but also like shiny object syndrome, like, like, oh, this is great. Oh, this strategy. No, this strategy. Oh, this area. Oh, let's go to Windsor. Oh, let's go to North Bay. Oh, no, New Brunswick. That's the way. Oh, Florida. Right. Like, so there's that, it's people not willing to get out of their comfort zone, right? Like just, I've always done it this way. This is this what makes sense. But the thing is, like, if you're not willing to get out of your comfort zone, then you're never going to grow, right? So, that's part of the chapter in there. The other thing is, people will have these net worth goals. Like, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a 3 millionaire or whatever it is, right? I want to be, in the 0.1% of the population of Canada. So the thing is, though, Do they even know where they are now? Have they ever done a balance sheet? Do they know what their net worth is? And have they, do they do it consistently? I mean, I'll look at my balance sheet every twice a year, right? I'll make sure that we have everything all together, and we look at it twice a year. And that an example balance sheet is in that first chapter too. And like it's like, this is my net worth, and then am I going towards my goal, right? And I identify in it like, okay, in Canada we have different net worth criteria. So a high net worth Canadian has a net worth between 1 million and 5 million. A mid-tier millionaire has a net worth between 5 million and 30 million. And an ultra high net worth person in Canada has a $30 million or more net worth. So, by having like the balance sheet, it's great, but now we have goals, like where do we want to be and where are we now, right?
Right.
If you want to lose weight, you have to know what your weight is, right? If you want to get your net worth up, you got to know what your net worth is now, right? So same thing.
Awesome. So, okay, so let's go through some of these. There's obviously a ton, and I encourage everyone. I mean, this is available. You'd be crazy to not take advantage of it. But I want to talk about the real estate entrepreneur's planning process, and we'll get into how that kind of breaks down. What does that look like? So we've kind of taken a glimpse now. We've seen a kind of our balance sheet. We can see this is our net worth. And so now what? Like, what comes next?
Well, I mean, before we go into like like the quarterly plan and the weekly plan, you have to define what it is that you want. You need to spend some time, and I encourage people to spend a day or a weekend actually thinking about, what do I want 20 years from now? What are those big goals? And because if you need to divide it not only in financial goals but personal goals, even they could be spiritual goals, they could be relationship goals, maybe it's just like leisure time goals. So you break it down into different areas, and then you define out what those big 20-year goals are. Okay, and once you've started that, this is where the magic starts to happen, because all of a sudden, like back in 2000, and so I redo my goals every like 3 years, because I find that even the long-term goals, you will be surprised at how you can achieve them in a shorter amount of time by using this strategy. Okay, so in 2015, I had set one of my 20-year goals to run a marathon, right? I had no idea if I was going to be able to do it. I was 100 pounds overweight, and wasn't that, like, if you saw me at that time, you'd be like, there's no way, right? But funny enough, over the next 3 to 5 years, I started to change my health. And and that was still part of this planning process. I had it in my quarterly goals, and I worked towards that. And in 2019, I ran a marathon. And so, and that was in my 20-year goal, right? And like a health goal. So, and I was able to do that in like 4 years instead of 20 years. And it's all about, setting those big goals and then bringing them down into your quarters. And I say quarters, not years. So when you're doing this process, it's about quarterly goals, because what happens to most people in January? They set these big goals for themselves, right? They say, okay, I'm going to do this and do that and this. And then the next time they look at the goals is December, and it's like, what happened? Right?
You're right.
So instead, if you use a 90-day, planning process, and you focus only on the 90 days, what you're going to do in those 90 days, then you're more likely to achieve the goals that you set, and then the ones that you set from at the beginning of the year to the end of the year, right? And remember, these 90-day goals are taking you, that's your quarterly plan. They're taking you to those long-term goals that you set, right? Whatever those are. And so, so once you've done that 90-day goal, the week connects up to those 90-day goals. So each week you're working towards your 90-day goals. So by the time you get to the end of the 3 months, you will have achieved quite a bit of those 90-day goals because you have, you've set it in as an intention, you're working on it every week, and you'll be surprised. Now, imagine you set yourself 9 goals for the quarter, whatever those goals are, and you achieve, let's say, 8 of them, or let's say 6 of them every quarter for the next 10 years. Imagine what you can do.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder, like I, from my own experience, I mean, you have these 10, 20-year goals and you try and say, you know what, I'm going to start to do some activity. And I find personally, and I'm guessing it's probably a human nature, is we front load a lot of the activity naturally. It's like, if I'm going to run a marathon, then I got to be able to I can run a half marathon in 3 months from now. It's like, well, I mean, if you were to break it down realistically, that seems a little extreme, but I think that having those smart goals, those goals that are kind of, but also front loaded, where we're like, you know what, I'm going to see if I can shave off a larger portion of this up front. I think that's what ends up, when we're actively setting goals, that's what ends up speeding up that process. At least that's what I've experienced. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if you've experienced the same thing, but
Yeah, I think what happens is that a lot of people overestimate what they can do in the near term, and they underestimate what they can do in the, the longer term goals, right? And so what happens is they overcompensate, and then they don't feel success. But if what they did was they just did, it's not about running a marathon, it's about going for a walk for 45 minutes. If that's what it is, it's about going for a walk for 45 minutes every day. And then after you're going for a walk for 45 minutes, maybe it's running once a week, right? And then like it's easing into those goals. And then the same thing with real estate, right? When you're thinking about it, it's not about buying 100 properties. It's about buying your next property. Right, that's what the goal is, right? You may have a 20-year goal of whatever your mogul empire is going to look like, but like today, your goal is buying that next apartment building, or it's buying that next property, and then it's intentionally setting weekly goals that help you to do that. So, financing wise, it may be contacting a new lender. It could be, funding wise, it could be freeing up money through a refinance of a principal residence. From a finding perspective, it could be talking to a realtor like yourself, right, and connecting with them to help them to find a new property, right? So all of those pieces help to achieve that goal, but it takes them to that big goal, but it starts in a small way. And that's what I found is most effective with real estate investors who follow that criteria, who actually, use the planning process. And like every week I do, like on Sunday night or on Monday morning, I'll set out my plan for the week. I've done it for now 11 years, right? And I'm going to continue to do that.
awesome.
And I find that has been very helpful for me. I mean, I'm approaching $35 million of assets under management, and I own at least 50% of all of that, right? So it's not a bad deal.
Not a bad gig. And I
Not a
can
bad
see
gig.
where celebrating the small wins really picks up, right? I mean, to feel like, oh, I only got 6 out of 10 of my goals, you can really beat yourself up over those things. But why? Like, to what end, right? And it makes me wonder if people feel like maybe they've been distracted by shiny objects, or they set this January 1 goal, and here we are mid-February when we're recording. Actually, this is going to come out probably the next week or two, so it'll be in March. So, and you're like, I haven't done any of that. Now, I know your book speaks about this, but tell us, how do we get back on track? Like, what should that mindset or attitude look like to try and pick things up where maybe we felt like we've dropped them?
Yeah, you know what? I will actually rewrite goals in the middle of a quarter, because sometimes things have changed within the scope and spectrum of things that I had no control over, and I need to make a change in my plan. That's okay. It's okay to make changes in your plan. I give you permission. Like, just say, something were to happen. Like COVID is an excellent example, right? Like say you had a plan to purchase a property in March and you're not sure of what's going to happen because of, COVID's, lockdown and whatever. You need to change your goal in order to, to anticipate that. So, okay, this happened. I have a goal, but we need to change that so that I can anticipate maybe freeing up more equity in my portfolio in order to take advantage of perhaps potential other offers that I'm going to make in the next quarter. And it's okay to do that, even if I don't see it as not achieving the goal. I think what it is making sure that the goal is attainable, right? Maybe you need to, because what ends up happening is typically I'll have somebody say, okay, my goal this quarter is to buy 6 properties. All right. Okay, so why 6? And then we have to drill down. Well, it's like, well, I'm looking to add, this month, I'm looking to add another 1,200, or this quarter, $1,200 to my bottom line cash flow. Okay, now let's look at what you've done in the past and look at what you can do this quarter that would help you to get towards that goal. Well, really, if I could get 2 properties in this quarter, the byproduct of that is that I'm going to end up with maybe closer to $500 or in cash flow, and that is going to help me towards my goal. It's not going to get me to the $1,200, but this is definitely something that's doable and definitely something that I can do. Okay, so let's reset the goal and make it two properties this quarter, and then and make sure that we get that done, right? And that often will help people to get them closer to their goal. Now, what is also important is that I have what's called a quarterly challenge in my templates. Every quarter, they need to do something that takes them out of their comfort zone. For some of my past coaching clients, it was like one of them actually did a podcast. He was like freaking out, right? Because he's not like, for some people, this is like craziness, right? To do public speaking.
Yeah.
And but he did it, right? And he got out there, he got out of his comfort zone. And the thing is that quarterly challenge for him is going to do more for him to get him to the 6 properties than just setting a goal for 6 properties, because now he's expanded his comfort zone. He can talk to a wider audience of people. He could perhaps get more partners that will help him to achieve that goal of the 6 properties. So it's not about setting the goal to an extreme, although you can have that, like something like that in your quarter. It's just that you need to do something that's different, that takes you out of your comfort zone, right? Whatever that's going to be.
This is fantastic, man. And you know what, to anyone listening, I mean, this is super relevant to me as well. Like you're hearing it from a guy that's celebrating refinancing 3 properties to get $500,000 and 35 million. Like, you heard all of the accolades, and it's so simple, but like a lot of us we just feel like you set these goals and you hold yourself to it to a fault, to the point where you almost freeze, right? So I love all of those things. I think there's a ton of wisdom, and the fact that it's coming from you, I think should give a bunch of like, guys, I'll just say it, like, Quentin is a heavy hitter in the GTA when it comes to real estate. He's giving you permission to not have to go for 6 properties. 2 is fine. Let's make sure it's attainable and realistically get 1, right? It's 1 at a time. I love that concept. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. I think we overcomplicate things sometimes, and sometimes we miss out. And really, what's the point if we're not having fun? I think this has been fantastic, man. Any other insight as we're kind of wrapping up that you can kind of share with our audience? Any other words of wisdom that maybe you've learned in the last, I know you've been building, you're constantly evolving, but maybe even since this book come out, is there something you've maybe started focusing on or learning in your travels?
Well, one thing that I wanted to mention was in chapter 1, there's a great chart, and it's part of the quarterly plan, which is looks at sources of income. And one of the things that I have done for a long time is have a number of different income sources. I mean, the book is an income source. It's not, you're never, for me, you're not, it's not going to make you wealthy, but it, you know, it gives you benefits in other ways, but it is an income source. And I have other income sources, and it gives you a way to identify the different income sources that you have and outline it, because we know that wealthy people have at least, you know, 10 different income sources that are there, right? And if you look at the type of income sources, I have many different types of income sources. But the key is, for me, is that if I decide that I'm not going to do one of those income sources, I can. You know, coaching is a very profitable type of income, but it's very time intensive, right? And you know, if you can imagine, I was charging $12,000 for 6 months, and I had 4 or 5 clients at a time. And then I had group coaching clients as well that would, you know, that had like 10 or 12 at a time that would charge, I would charge $700 per month. You know, you can imagine just by those numbers what that looks like. Well, I decided to go like this, X, cross off that income source. Why? Because I decided that it would free up more time for myself. And I can only do that because I have this chart and the ability to cross off that income
options.
Yeah. And I have my other income sources that allow me to do that. And the difference for a person who has a T4 income employment is that one day, if you do this, you can cross off your T4 income and do whatever you know, it's the benefit of being able to do that. So you know, I would encourage you to and that, for me, that was, you know, and like something recent and an enlightening experience for me. And it was also freeing too, right? Like I do have the time freedom, and you know, I can cross off the income sources that I want and decide whether I'm gonna, you know, do them or not do them. Right.
I'm sorry, I've got this weird smile on my face. I'm just realizing how good a podcast this was. Like, this has been super. I'm
Awesome.
learning so much, and I'm sure our audience is too, man. Like, no wonder we brought you on again. I know we're gonna see Quentin again. I know this is gonna happen again.
Oh, I appreciate that. And you know what? I put a code on for the Action Taker Real Estate Planner. So if they use Watson as a code, I do like I have a goal achievement package, so it'll take $10 off that program. So
Beautiful. Love it. Okay, Quentin.
right.
So we will have the links, but any other platforms that people can find you online as we kind of wrap up?
I'm trying to grow my Instagram following. So if you go to QManREI on Instagram, that would be great. I just crossed the 2,000 follower mark. So that would be helpful if you would to find me there. I'm also on Facebook. You can you know, connect with me on Facebook, or go to durhamrei.com, and there's a phone number up there. I don't know it off the top of my head, but we'll have Sarah or someone else get back to you.
Awesome. Mr. Quentin D'Souza, appreciate it, brother. And we'll see you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care.